Hey, this is Stacia, and today I'm going to show the secrets of knight g5 and the fried liver attack. So buckle your seatbelt because these lines can get pretty wild. Okay, let's start. So the way we get to this is we go e4, of course, putting a pawn in the center, e5, knight f3. What does that do? You better be saying it attacks a pawn. Okay, so black should defend it with knight c6, the best move. And now we go bishop c4. So this all comes from the Italian game. Yeah, do you see all these pieces? This is the Italian game. This exact position. So memorize that. All right. Now, black has two main moves here. Okay, black can play knight to f6 and black can play bishop c5. Both are pretty respectable moves. Now, we are specifically talking about knight f6 today. This is called the two knights defense. So after you play bishop c4, it's the Italian game. After you play knight f6, it's the two knights defense. And it's only here that I want to start our lecture because the knight is doing something, right? It's attacking our e4 pawn. This is probably the only drawback of going e4 at the start of the game, is that the pawn is unprotected and it is vulnerable to attacks. Now, sometimes you can ignore these attacks because, okay, if we were going to defend it, we could just go d3. That's a fair move. It's a good move. It's fine. All right, but it's a little bit boring too. You could also play knight c3. This is the one that I see a lot of scholastic players engage in because, you know, you develop a piece and you protect the pawn. I mean, what could be more natural? Well, I'm going to show you something though. d3 is a little bit passive, right? A little bit passive. In reality, I think we'd rather go c3, d4. This is really the main plan that the Grandmasters do. But when we go d3, that means we would have to use an extra turn to put the pawn on d4. So we don't like wasting turns, right? So we don't want to waste a turn. Okay, but what about knight c3? Knight c3 looks perfectly great. The only reason that knight c3 isn't a good move is because black has a little trick here. They can play knight takes e4, and after knight takes e4, they hit you with this fork. And I call this the fork trick. And basically, any advantage that white had is gone after this. Now, a lot of people will take and let the queen come out, attacking the knight, and they'll retreat like this. And I don't know, the queen goes somewhere. These positions, if I ask the computer right now, it already says -1 for black. So that's clearly not good. So if you do walk into the fork trick, I have two really nice options for you, okay? But I'm going to cover those in another video. Because if you run into this, you could play bishop takes f7, which is the Noah Gambit. But you could also take back and play bishop d3. But I'll cover those in a different video, okay? But you're still okay here. Okay, it's at least equal. But I don't recommend either of these moves. I mean, d3 I kind of recommend, kind of. But what I really think you should go for, if you're under 1,000 especially, but all the way up to 2,000, this is great. I mean, let's be honest, all the way to 2,400, this is very great and playable. And that's the move, knight to g5. Okay, so let's understand this. Why are we playing this? Well, isn't it clear? We are attacking f7, and it's not so easy to defend the threat, right? Like, now if black could just castle, their rook would come to f8 and protect that pawn, and all would be well with the world. But unfortunately, they have a bishop in the way, right? So they cannot do that. So it's tough. Now, some of you are thinking, okay, but black can defend with their queen. Yeah, there's a problem though. The queen is worth 9, and our two pieces are worth far less than that. So we could actually just take. I mean, why not just take? You know, if they take with the queen, we take. Check. Let's count the material, shall we? Okay, like if you count it all up, black is +4. Or I'm sorry, I mean white. Sorry, white is +4. So that is not very good. So you can't defend with the queen. I mean, even better is probably this one. This is probably even better. Because king d8, seriously? And then I'd play here why is that such a good move? Because now I'm threatening to bring the knight in as well. I'm greedy. Okay, I wanna check you and fork you. I'm not happy with just one. So, all right. So yeah, defending with the queen doesn't work. In fact, there's only one good move for black here. So if you want to pause your video and try to find the move, go ahead and do so now. Hopefully you know this move already, but if you don't, it's d5. This is the only good move. Okay, and I know there's tons of Gotham fans out there right now screaming at me. And Braxton, I hear you. Okay, and Sophia, I hear you. There's also bishop c5, and this is the Traxler counterattack. The point being that if we take with the knight here, attacking like this, black can actually sacrifice. And this just gets wild, right? Like knight takes e4 check, and actually white's in danger of getting checkmated, but this is just crazy. Okay, so we will need to look at that at some point, but it's a bit over our heads for today. Today we're just looking at knight g5, and it attacks here. Now, just be aware, the Traxler is an option. It's just not all that sound. Really, d5 is the move, and d5 blocks the bishop. Okay, that is the point of this move, right? It's kind of hard to do a fork when they can just take us, right? The bishop is blocked. So instead of that, we should just take the pawn, because now we're actually threatening the knight. And once we take that knight, we're threatening to do the fork again, right? We could do either knight takes f7 or bishop takes f7. So both are looking pretty good. So black's in a position now where they've got to figure out how to stop that. And this brings us to a very normal looking move, which is actually not that great. And that's the move knight takes d5, right? Why not, right? Like, it's 2 against 1, right? The knight attacks the pawn, the queen attacks the pawn. That's 2 attackers on a pawn that's defended once. So why is this not a good move? Well, now you're going to see it. Here it comes. Knight takes f7, the fried liver attack. And, okay, yeah, I know the king can take. You don't have to tell me that. I already know that. But now white has a fork. So if you want to pause your video and try to find it, go ahead and do so now. The fork is queen f3. That's a check. It attacks the king. And it also attacks the knight, which was only attacked once, but now it's attacked twice. It's only defended once. So now black is in big trouble, right? And like some people that are beginners, when they first see this, they'll just try to hide their king away. This is obviously a really bad decision. We can just take that knight with check. And after they trade queens with us, well, it's almost checkmate. The only move is bishop e6, and then that is checkmate. So you get mated. So king g8 is just not possible at all. And okay, if they go king e8, we just win the knight. And that's just a free knight. I would take with a bishop, because now we're threatening like a scholar's mate, basically, right? Queen f7 would be mate. They just do this. That's checkmate. So this is really bad. They're down a piece and about to get checkmated. So that's not good either. So, all right, what else can they do? After queen f3 check, guess what? The only actual good move is king to e6. Okay, now, please tell me right now. Please tell me in the comments or yell at your screen. I don't care which. Tell me why this is not a good move, because you guys better know why. Yeah, you don't, this is not what the king's supposed to do. Oops, the king was never on g8. This is not what the king's supposed to do in a chess game. Okay, in the end game, yes. Is this an end game? No, this is not an end game. There's a queen on the loose, there's a bishop on the loose, all the pieces are here. This is the opening. So you're not supposed to march your king up to e6. Why? Because you'll get checkmated, that's why. Okay, but we're balancing that out with the fact that we actually did sacrifice a piece, a full piece, a knight, in fact, on f7. So compensation for that sacrifice on f7 is the fact that this king is ridiculous on e6. But this is the only move that does protect the knight again, right? You agree with that. It does protect the knight again. And this is the fried liver attack. So, yeah. So there you go. This is the intro to all this. Now, I will make another video on the fried liver attack because that is all by itself another thing. But just to review what we went through here. This goes e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, the Italian game. And I'm talking about this move, knight to f6. Here, we have the move. Do you know it? Knight g5. Now, it's really called the knight attack. Now, there's only one good move for black, and that's part of the reason I would encourage you to try this, because black often will not find this move, right? They won't find it. If they've never seen this before, if you're all under 500, they're not going to have seen it before. So go ahead and try it. See if they can find d5, because if they don't, they just play like, you know, a lazy move like this. You just win. You just win. You get to do the fork, and okay, and I've even seen people do this. They'll be like, oh, my rook's attacked. I'll move it. Yeah, well, your queen was attacked. So, you know, don't do that. So, yeah, it's definitely worth a try. But I do have one more little test for you, and that is, okay, we're looking at knight f6. What about bishop c5? Should we go knight g5 now? You tell me. Looks like a logical move. Why not do this? Well, I really hope you guys saw, because you're going to feel really stupid if you didn't see it. Queen takes knight is good for black. Yeah, we're not protecting that. Look. This pawn, yeah, it's still there. It's you just lost your knight. Okay, but it doesn't end here. If this does happen to you, because some of you guys play super fast. If this does happen to you, try this move, d4. Why? Well, it attacks a bishop. That's the only reason, right? But oh no, I blundered. Because on knight takes d4, I just lost a pawn. That's not good. Yeah, but then they hung their queen, right? Do you see that? They hung their queen. So, now if they're any good at all though, after d4, they'll simply take on g2. This is the right way to play because that attacks the rook. Now if we take the bishop, that's good for black because they just want a rook with check. So it's not so good. Probably the best is to block. Yeah, this is not our dream position, right? Down a rook. Down a knight and a rook. So, yeah. So it's very, very important, is my point, to be aware that when you play the Italian game, there's two main moves. You can do knight g5 against one of them, and against the other one, do not do it, right? Do not do it. So against knight f6, we go knight g5. This is the real thing. And against bishop c5, oops, bishop c5, here you go. This is not good because you just lose a knight. Okay, so don't do that. And then some of you guys will do this too. You'll see knight f6, and you'll play something like d3. And then black will go bishop c5, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I can play knight g5, and you'll do it now. This is not the same. You missed your chance. You missed your chance. You know why? Black doesn't have only d5 anymore. They have a better move. So pause your video, see if you can find the better move. Yeah, they can castle. Remember last time the bishop was in the way, but we let the bishop and the knight get out, and now they can just castle. And I hate to break this to you, but you just wasted two moves. Yeah, not just one move, two moves. You're probably like, Miss Stacia, did you forget how to count? Well, yes, but that's besides the point. The knight goes to g5, and now it's here for no reason at all, because this pawn's going to come to h6, right? And we can't take here. It's protected. It's protected really well. So basically the knight came here for nothing, and the knight's going to have to go right back. So it wastes two moves. Like, for example, after castles, let's just play a move like castles. h6. Yeah, what do? Some of you are screaming to do this, but I have news for you. You never really want to trade, as a rule of thumb, you don't want to trade two active minor pieces. What do I mean by active? These are both in the game, right? They're doing stuff. They're out in the open. They're doing stuff. We don't want to trade our only two active pieces for this rook, which is barely doing anything. Yeah, and that's it. And like if I ask the computer, it already says -3, which is equivalent to being down a piece. That's how bad that trade is. So yeah, because look we traded off our best pieces, they're gone. Now we're left with these pieces that haven't moved yet. So we're gonna need a lot of turns to get them active and in the game. And in the meantime, black just goes d6 and they can bring their pieces out very easily. So their king's in no danger at all. Why? Because we traded off the only pieces that were a threat. They're gone. So yeah, so this trade of grabbing a pawn and a rook for the two pieces, it's not good. So I hope you remember that. So I think we covered enough for one day. If you guys have any questions at all, of course, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'm more than happy to help out with that. And I'll take video requests as well if you have one in mind. And that'll be it for today. So have a great day and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.